Hey everybody. So, we finally finished our nearly 11-hour limited series, and boy has it been a third of a year in so many ways. Actually, it's been both beautiful and horrifying in my personal world. I guess I would say it's one of those years where one more thing happened and it was just the last thing. And I'd been stuffing things in the closet, the subconscious, metaphoric closet, for my entire life. And I got to this year and one more major thing happened, and that was just the last thing. It wasn't going to fit in the closet.
Pepper McGee, don't go near that closet.
And when I tried to stuff it in there, actually what happened was the door bust open and every single thing in the closet came flying out. And now the whole closet's going to have to be emptied, and it's just all going to have to start over. And it's kind of like 2021 is everyone's own personal haunted house. Things that people have not wanted to deal with or face or look at. That's what's being offered up in the personalized haunted house. So it's whatever personal boogeyman or ghost under the bed or demons or whatever it is that's haunting each specific person, and that's what they're going to see. Kind of like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters. It's just not the kind of thing you turn on a recorder and talk about. It's very personal, very spiritual, and it's just not the time. Because I really have decided that I don't want to just contribute to noise. And I don't want to spend all of my energy, which is the only true currency of this place, just reacting to every single thing. Because there's too much and you will just get burned out. It's not possible. When this channel first started, I spent a lot of time doing that. And I'm speaking only for myself here, but I spent a lot of time just kind of throwing my arrows, just shooting them out everywhere. Like this thing, and oh my gosh, it's this thing. And I mean, I didn't even realize until this decade that for like the last, I don't know, probably 5 years, I've been talking about what was getting ready to happen in this decade. In almost every single video I did for years. And I didn't even realize I was doing it because I didn't know it was, well, we know some people knew, but not everybody knew what was coming. But it still came, didn't it? And I have to say, I agree with Michael Hoffman when he talks about how if there's one thing the alternative media, and when I use that phrase, I'm talking pre-2015 alternative media, gets wrong, it is the reactionary doomspeak. That they just, everything that's wrong, they're just like, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and look over here at this horrifying thing, and this too, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And you say all that stuff, and then at the end of the day, like, what changes? It doesn't change anything. I mean, yes, you can get some people thinking, which is at least better than nothing, but I guess I'm just to the point where I want to do something more than that. And there's so much noise right now. It's just bzzz, just a bunch of background scatter on every single thing that happens, to the point that when I go to the grocery store now, I don't have cable. We don't have cable in this house. It literally doesn't come into our home. But I don't have to have it because I can just go down to the grocery store and walk around on a busy afternoon, and I literally hear people walking around just regurgitating talking points, and they don't even know each other. So I'll go down one aisle and hear something, and then I'll go down another aisle and a different person who's not related to that first person but probably watch the same mainstream media network with, Fox News or CNN or whichever one confirms their bias, and they're just repeating whatever they've heard. And by the time you get to the third aisle and you hear another person do it and all of the language is pretty much the same too, you start to feel like you're in a science fiction novel, right? And it really does seem like some people have just taken whatever they've been told now and that's wholesale their reality. I find it just so ironic because if you were born any time in the 20th century, then you were born into the modern scientific paradigm. Whether or not that's your thing is not really the point. It's just everybody I know who went to school was taught the scientific method, right? You come up with a question, you get a hypothesis going, You collect data to answer your question. You analyze that data. It's a way of looking at things, right? I mean, all of the scientists that this society lauds, they were contrarians who were asking uncomfortable questions, many of whom were outcasted and people weren't super happy with them for asking those questions, but they did it anyways, right? Now it's not even, there's no stupid questions. Now you're not even supposed to ask any questions at all. You're just not supposed to even be able to formulate a question, let alone ask it. Doesn't matter if it's deemed stupid or not. You're not even supposed to be able to ask the question. And I guess there are people who just really like that constructed, hand-fed reality. Right? They don't have to ask any questions. They don't have to think about anything. It'll just be told to you what's important to think about and feel. And you could just have that wholesale. But I've noticed that the people who are most about that seem to be the people who are most freaking out and afraid and upset. And it doesn't matter, I've noticed, what the thing is anymore, too. Whether or not it's something that's actually personally going on in the person's actual life that's affecting them, or if it's something happening on the other side of the world that actually only mildly affects them, or maybe not at all, really. Or if it's the conservatorship of a certain pop star, like the emotions that are being brought to these things. Well, the media told me about it, and now I'm mad. I'm going to tell you all the reasons why, because I was told the reasons, and now I'm going to tell you what they are. Like, what is that? Are any of those thoughts and feelings original at all? Because it doesn't sound like it when you hear the same ones being regurgitated over and over. It just comes off as like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I get that if some people have not decided to ask any further questions of this place, the natural matrix that we're all living in, if you've just firmly rooted yourself in the 5 sense seeing is believing reality, there's no spiritualism to that, there's no nothing, then I guess your whole reality would then be dependent upon whatever you're told, right? The talking box says. So then I guess you'd have a vested interest in not questioning that and actually upholding that and trying to make everyone else believe it too. And then when they question it, it makes you angry because that's your whole reality and you're literally just floating on the wind of whatever you're told every single day. And that's got to be really scary. So I guess I understand it in that regard, because that's got to be a scary place to be. I think there's a reason we're all here at this time while this is happening, everything that's happening right now. And the books I've read say that I'm not supposed to be walking around in fear all the time. So I'm just not going to do that. It's funny, my mother-in-law actually contacted us and said, you need to watch this Disney series. I'm not trying to promote Disney right now, but she said, that movie you made, Minds of Men, well, it's the plot of a Disney series. You might want to check it out. It's called The Mysterious Benedict Society.
What were those?
Those are the hidden messages that are being broadcast on every TV and radio, and they're infecting our minds without us even knowing they're there.
And I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but basically there's an emergency that's happening. It's very nebulous. They don't explain what the emergency is. But everyone's walking around, and there's a newspaper headline, I think, or maybe they say it on the radio. There's on billboards, they say that it's an emergency, and there's nobody at the wheel.
The emergency is caused by subliminal messages.
Manipulation sub rosa.
Yes.
And then throughout the series, you will just see B characters walking around talking about it's an emergency, there's no one at the wheel. And they're literally just regurgitating what the newspaper said. They're not thinking about it.
The sender of these messages is putting our psyches under siege.
Why would someone do that?
When people are anxious or frightened, they're more susceptible to suggestion.
There's no critical thinking skills happening there. It's just they're upset and they're regurgitating what they were fed.
Just to jump in for a second, this is one of those series where it was, they're based on the books, and the kids read the books. I haven't read them, but for a children's and family programming show, they really put a lot of information in there. I mean, it's not factual like our Minds of Men documentary, but it's the same general concept, the same sort of territory. To see that in a children's show, it felt pretty substantial. And at the same time, they clearly depict in this story adults who are more children-like than the children, at least the protagonist children. And, these adults they're just mental infants. I should buy a hat today. Look, the sign says to buy things. But at the same time, it's familiar territory for our actual society. I mean, look around. We have grown adults acting so childlike, especially at this time with the unprecedented propaganda going on in society right now, of course, and at other times leading up to this. And they don't even seem to realize how much they're treating adults like children and how much they're just being open to base suggestion, basic obedience, suggestion, order-taking cues, like no critical thought, no rationalization, These are adults, they're not 7-year-olds. It's spectacular and disturbing at the same time.
Evidence.
Oh, Rainey. Proof is useless unless it's proof of something people already want to believe.
I find it hard to believe that we live in 2021 and there are people out there who still think that the news just informs us. That's literally all that's happening in that transaction. I'm just getting information. Even though you can literally sit down and watch, say, MSNBC reporting on an event, and the language that's being used is very psychological, phrasings and things like that, and there's definitely a very pointed and obvious bias. Likewise, I can flip over to Fox. They're going to be reporting on the same thing, and yet they're going to have a totally opposite, opposing bias. It's still the same. It's the same thing. It's just a different end of the same exact spectrum. And depending where a person's bias lies, that's which channel they're going to watch, because it's going to reaffirm what they already want to hear or whatever, right? And that's happening, and it's super obvious that it's happening. And then in between them telling you whatever that is, there's all these commercials for all the pharmaceuticals and everything else. But no, it's just information, right? It's just information.
Oh, this coffee is criminal.
Honey, you killed the petunias.
Then you admit it. Your coffee really is murder. Try Folgers. Never bitter, never weak, always nice and rich. Because Folgers coffee is mountain grown.
Mountain grown?
Like the sign says. Mountain grown for richer flavor.
It's not, though. Words are signals. It's a communicated signal. If I say something to you, a whole bunch of stuff is going on in that. It's not just words. It's not just me talking and you listening or whatever, right? First of all, I'm telling you something that I believe or think. A belief is defined as assenting to something. If I believe in something, I'm not just regarding it as true or not true. I'm putting authority into that. And I'm telling you, this is my belief. And authority is a type of power. So that's a power that's being given. That's an energy that's being exchanged. The second thing that happens when I communicate a signal to you is that it activates a sophisticated web of information that you have in your mind surrounding that concept or whatever those concepts are, drawing up your set of authorized principles that are in your mind surrounding that idea, which are images that are connected to that idea in your mind, is drawing that up. An image, of course, being a representation in your mind. It's like that thing where they say, don't think of a red bear. If you tell someone don't think of a red bear, what's the first thing they're going to probably do? They're at least going to think of the color red or a bear, if not a red bear. It's almost impossible to just not think of it, right? Or like the image of a zombie apocalypse. We all know what that's probably going to look like, or we all think we do, right? Because Hollywood's only been showing that to us for like 100 years. We have a collective set of images that we all know. Aliens, the whole alien thing. They keep talking about the alien thing every 2 seconds. Who's been feeding everyone the main conception or perception of an alien invasion for the last X number of decades? So that we will all have the same set of images that get activating to make something active, to awaken something, to cause change. That's the definition of activate. So media is information that is being imprinted on the subconscious mind. And it's these images that get stored in there for future use, because they get activated later when certain things come up. It's how ads work. They show you an ad for something, and then later you're in a store and you see that thing and the ad gets activated because the image is already stored in there. And they know they only have to show it to you once. And it's kind of creepy. They're showing people 5-second ads now. They're just slamming it in there. Just bam. Don't even have time to really think about what you got shown. Just, it's in there. 5 seconds. You're one and done. I mean, I guess some people would say, well, at least I don't have to sit there and watch an actual 30-second ad. But there's something about a 30-second ad or a minute-long ad or whatever that at least seems more legit or above board, because you at least have time to formulate that what you're even looking at, versus 5 seconds just shoved right in there. So when we communicate with each other, we're communicating signals about ourselves, and we're communicating signals to each other, and those signals are connected to whole webs of information in our minds that have been stored there from a lifetime of interacting with this media. Suddenly it takes on a whole new dimension of responsibility, doesn't it? What's getting stored in there, what's getting put in there. And there's a lot of people out there who don't want to have to take things that seriously, but I'm just saying, I mean, this is how it works. If you say, don't think of a red bear, the other person starts to think of a red bear. A whole movie now of images, even if it's a short one, is playing in the other person's head. And it's playing in the person who communicated's head. And so now both of these people are watching a movie they made together. And the intention of what the purpose is of that is everything. It's everything. The energy and the signals that we transmit to one another are that important. And I just keep thinking of that old saying, if you don't think for yourself, someone else is going to do it for you. Or maybe just that Rush line about, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. It's true. I just think we're coming to a time where there are going to be a lot of choices about people either taking responsibility for themselves or leaving themselves at the whims of technology that has far surpassed anything that we've seen in our lifetimes that we know about in this modern era. And what this technology can do has been overwhelmingly overlooked. I mean, we're about to live in an era where algorithms can know you better than you know yourself.
So I want to talk to you today about the future of our species, and really the future of life. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. Not data about what I buy or where I go, but data about what is happening inside my body and inside my brain. As you surf the internet, as you watch videos or check your social feed, the algorithms will be monitoring your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and they will know. You wouldn't even know that this was happening, but they will know, and this information will be worth billions. Once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design. The ownership of data is so important. If we don't regulate it, a tiny elite may come to control not just the future of human societies, but the shape of life forms in the future.
But also in an era where a lot of people don't even know themselves at all. So how's that going to work? Because it's crazy to see people walking around just having their buttons pressed left and right about things that literally don't affect their lives at all. At all. The example I remember from a little while back here was the Britney Spears thing. Most of the people I heard talking about it, you could tell they don't give two cares about Miss Spears and her life. But they sure were expending just copious amounts of energy just talking all about it like it was really meaningful to them, even though did they even stop to ask themselves if any of those thoughts or feelings originated with them? I don't know that they did. They're just walking around and they're just regurgitating talking points. It's creepy. I don't even think after 9/11 I saw this level that things are at now with that. It's and don't even get me started on Meta. That's a whole different video. Anyways, I should probably wrap this up. I know I'm just kind of meandering around. It's just been a long road this year. It's been really tough. But I feel like I'm going to be better for it on the other side of this. And I want to focus in on some things that I think are extremely important. I have realized that I have squandered a lot of my energy in places that it wasn't as important as I thought it was. And I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I love you guys. The trust game is finished. So we're now shifting back to our film, which I'm pretty sure I could use the term magnum opus on that. Somebody said it's a true stream magnum opus. Yeah, I think probably that's correct. I would say that's what I would call it for sure. And we also have a series that we've gone around and filmed, kind of doing double duty. So there's another series. It's not related. I mean, I guess everything's ultimately related, isn't it? But these two projects are not related to this last project. We've really been able to step up the quality on this film, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without the support we got from the Minds of Men and all of our Patreons that support us. That means a lot to us. It really does. Especially this hardcore group of supporters that has stuck with us through this year that was really just a waking nightmare some weeks. If I'm bearing my heart on my sleeve right now, I mean, it really was. So it's very humbling, and it means the world that there are people out there who got our back and know that we're here doing this, and we do. I mean, if you don't hear from us on this channel for a little while, it's because we're making something, guaranteed. I can't think of anything else that I should be doing with myself. I think I'm pretty sure this is what I'm here to do. So, and I'll just keep doing it. I mean, we'll go back to the days of VHS if I freaking have to. I love you guys. I hope this made sense. I've got several things that I'm working on. One that Aaron and I are trying to put together. It's probably going to be the next video we do. And I'll talk to you guys soon.